Alright guys, welcome to the round of 32. This is going to be a match between Meet Your Makers and a team called Frank. We can see the draft here. We do actually have a Kadazim being picked up by the side of a team named a team called Frank. That's going to be quite interesting. Everyone is talking at once. Excuse me, hiccup. So let's bring away that draft screen and introduce the players. So ladies and gentlemen, spawning on, oh god, I'm going to have the bug, aren't I? Oh well, spawning on the left-hand side, it is the blue team of Meet Your Makers. And playing Zagara, it's Rememballer. Valor's being played by Blade. Uther being played by B Certified. Tyrande being played by Crisplosion. And Johanna being played by T Darker. Whereas on the right side, it is a team called Frank, with Muradin being played by ETF on top. Karazim being played by Kurson. Nazeebo being played by Nanda, Leoric being played by Liejo, and Jaina being played by MTW Raid Balls. And we see a classic move here from MYM. This is a move that pretty much only they do, and it's a minion block. However, we can see it has been done as well here by a team called Frank. Oh, the full-man stun from Tyrande there, and they attempt to capitalise on that, but MYM unable to pick anyone up and are in fact forced to retreat. But that's the first time I've seen someone else minion block against MYM, and a team called Frank doing it far better this time. Able to get ahead in it, and they're trying to kill Johanna at the moment. The Tyrande stun does land onto Raid Balls, but they're trying to catch out Johanna, but with that Iron Skin, she's able to dodge out most of the CC, and she will get away here. Both teams trying to roam between this bottom and the mid lane, but they're both getting caught so much up in the team fights that neither one is actually getting a significant XP advantage. However, let's have a quick look at the talents, as both teams did split up to make sure they got all the XP from this situation. And that does mean that the bottom shrine is for now going to at least go over to Meet Your Makers, as they do have control of it. So having a look at some of the talents here, we can see once again it's a Transcendence coming in from the Karazim here, giving him that extra sustain and healing for his team. Reverberation to try and counteract some of the auto attackers, which could be potentially the Valor, and in this case the Tyrande, who went with the Seasoned Marksman talent on the side of MYM for that extra damage, as they are running a single tank composition, trying to get some burst out with that stun combo of Tyrande Uther. Oh, there is a stun from ETF on top though, trying to follow up as well, but no one is there for that follow-up damage. Leoric does spot Tyrande roaming up to the top lane. Siphoning Arrow from the Valor, going for that Hungering Arrow build, giving her that extra, some extra sustain and some escape potential. ETF on top tried to sneak to that turn-in, but we see T Darker being left up there to defend against this and make sure it does not happen. Crisplosion be satisfied, clearing that up, and they will grab that bottom shrine and prevent ETF on top from grabbing it. Zagara also grabbing the bottom shrine, and that means both shrines are about to be in favour of MYM, but Johanna is not going to be able to take this Dragon Knight. She is completely zoned out here, and Kurson is just going to be down here for a while, soaking up the XP. Level 4 is available. Searing Arrows on the Tyrande, once again sticking with that auto attack build. Protective Shield on the Uther and the Karazim, both going for that extra protection here. Other than that, pretty standard stuff from everyone. A lot of pings happening in the mid lane right now, and we can see Jada gets a slower to be certified, and the full Blizzard, full combo off onto him in fact, but Leoric has to back out, taking a lot of damage, but is wading his way back in, looking to try and continue this, but gets caught by the Tyrande stun, taking a huge amount of damage, and he will be first blood here. And we can see that they wanted to try it. Frank wanted to try and turn around and get some counter damage off on this, but everyone was too high health, so they have to give it up. Nanda still dueling with Zagara up in this top lane. There's the stun onto Tyrande, but there's no one there to follow it up. So ETF on top trying to escape behind his wall, but takes a lot of damage, and he goes down. Very nicely played by MYM here, taking a lot of control of this game. They can take control of that bottom shrine, and Zagara, thanks to that Hunter Killer, able to chase away Nanda. They duel pretty much evenly on health. And the Hunter Killer does expire, so Nanda's actually going to run back up and try and grab this shrine, preventing the Dragon Knight with Raid Boss, and Leoric able to prevent it being taken while he does neutralise it. But Zagara's going to take it back, so they need to be careful here. There's actually no one in the mid lane. Muradin just arriving. Rememballer taking a lot of damage right now, does not get the shrine first. Nanda gets stunned out, and well, Jada just dies out anyway, unable to outdo Rememballer, and that is the top shrine in favour of MYM. Bottom shrine is going to go over to a team called Frank though, and they will be able to hold that for now, but there is currently a talent advantage, not for very long, as Frank are about to hit their level 7s as well. We can see the level 7s on the side of MYM. We can see a rapid incubation coming in for the Zagara, a repeating arrow for the Valor, just with that full Hungering Arrow build. Cleanse the Lunar Blaze for that extra range on the Lunar player. Really good for denying this turn-in. This shrines the Dragon Statue, sorry, and the Battle Momentum for Johanna, getting that extra damage off as much as he can. Echo of Heaven, of course, for the Colosseum, going for that full tankiness. Battle Momentum on the Muradin as well. Wants to try and get those cooldowns up as much as possible. Gibbon for the Nazebo, that extra spider duration as much as possible. Ghastly Reach for the Leoric. We've been seeing that a lot throughout today. Raid Boss trying to turn in, but with the flashlight, T-Darker will deny this. He's going to try and charge in by looks of it, but his Condemn is far too late. He's going in way too late here, and is now taking a lot of damage on his retreat thanks to that Drain Hope, but does make it behind the wall, as no one was able to see him thanks to his Iron Skin. He gets Condemn off once again. Then comes Tarada trying to burst Uther, and that's not a sight you see very often. Someone trying to burst out Uther with a Tarada. The Hungering Arrow on ETF on top, and Rememballer from above. They're able to take him down. Really nice job there. And in the meantime, while this is happening, Karazim is just in the bot lane soaking this up, and this is actually really good for Frank. They are still a level behind though. Level 10s are about to hit. They haven't got a single kill yet. Just trying to make the most out of this. As long as they can at least get some towers out of this Dragon Knight, they have a chance to get back into this. But the best thing they've done here is deny it away from MYM, who, if they'd got those level 10s and Dragon Knight, would have been a catastrophic situation. Raid Boss getting chased up here, and there's a huge amount of damage. The Starfall kills him off. We're seeing Leoric take damage as well. Condemn pulls him back into the Starfall. Protective shield from the Uther to try and save him. Starfall, the Lunar Blaze comes in, and we're seeing Leoric getting taken down. Really nice job here from the side of MYM, taking that Dragon Knight and turning it into a huge advantage, even though they weren't the ones who had it. Very, very well played by them. And this is now a bad situation for Frank. If they'd been able to get a tower or two and get out, then they would have denied that Dragon Knight away from Meet Your Makers and been able to maybe come out with being not so far behind, because they were already behind in XP. What they've done now is they got a tower and then lost 2 members, and that is not what you want to do with a Dragon Knight. That is not very good at all. So now they need to work extra hard to try and come back. They do have the level 10s now though, so this is their chance to make their way back into this. We have the Avatar for the Muradin, Divine Palm for that Karazim, giving him that extra tankiness. Curson healing up Nanda here in the top lane. Ravenous Spirit, speaking of Nanda, giving him that extra damage, huge amount of extra damage here. The March of the Black King, of course, for Leoric, and the Summon Water Elemental for the Jaina, just trying to give any extra damage that they can to their team right now, as they need to find a way through this incredibly high damage burst comp from the side of Meet Your Makers here. ETF on top, just dueling T-Darker in the mid lane with Leoric showing up. It will force Johanna to back out. Iron Skin is now expired, and she's able to dodge the stun though, and that really helps him out. Crisplosion looking to try and maybe catch out Leoric here, but Wraith Walk use this time, not going to get caught by the stun. Very nicely done by Leoric there. Both teams still currently even on talents, and this is going to be Frank's chance to try and get something done here, but they seem to be struggling. There's bruiser camps for both teams up in the top lane, but the lane is far more heavily pushed. There's the Water Elemental. We're going to see Frank try to push this up, but they're completely outnumbered. ETF on top, popping Avatar. In comes the Aura. March of the Black King here. A really good one. Could be catastrophic. There it is! March of the Black King catches so many. T-Dog goes down. The Starfall doing so much damage, but March of the Black King Ravenous is enough to take down pretty much able to take down 2 members there and force the other 2 to back up and Fountain. We're going to see a quick pause here for the side of from the side of Frank, and they got the kills. Really, really solid job there. Able to get some incredible play. ETF, he did actually stand in that Starfall for a while, so I could see why that ping was a bit of a problem, but that was a beautiful engagement. The last chance they really had before they were once again at a talent deficit, and they took that advantage, and now they're only going to be exactly a level behind. They're still going to be a talent behind, but they finally have an advantage to try and at least clear up their lanes and solve some of their problems. We're going to have a quick look around here. Both towers are gone up here for the side of a team called Frank. Mid lane is still safe, though bot lane needs some attention, but Muradin can head down there, and that's what he is doing right now to try and deal with this, as it would have been a bit of a pickle. There we go, we're going to see his passive activate, and he'll rush in there. He'll grab the shrine first, and then he will begin clearing that bottom lane. Leoric needs to be very careful here, as level 13 has been hit by the side of MYM, and MYM with 2 members down. They're about to come back, but they won't be in the fight for a little bit, as of course they have to run. Person getting a little bit extra damage, and that's the second Dragonite of the game going over to Frank, despite being at a level deficit. They're going to try and push this in, and this time they will be able to get quite a few towers, able to chunk that one so quickly. And now they're going to make their way down to the bot lane. There's that vulnerable used on the Dragonite by the Tyranitar there, able to just get a little bit of extra damage onto him, and they're going to continuously do that, continuing to try and CC him and make sure he doesn't get anything out of this. They're actually just going to try and focus him. In the meantime, though, while this Dragonite is distracting in the bottom lane, the top lane is being pushed ridiculously hard by the rest of a team called Frank. They're going to grab both towers out of this, and Curson just keeping them all healthy. The Dragonite, just a great distraction here. Zagara cannot hold this on her own, and that gives level 13 over to a team called Frank. They're still basically an entire level behind, but this is one of the... They are managing to catch up. They're losing a 4 down the bot lane, though. The Dragonite not defending, it's just pushing past them, and he's going to get more towers. It's going to be a fort for a fort in the top lane, and the Dragonite will get all the towers in the mid lane, as he's already done, and both set of towers in the bottom lane. But he needs to be careful. He needs to Wraith Walk, basically, the second this Dragonite expires, which it will. Where are the stuns? Shrink Ray used, but once again, he, like we said, he does get the Wraith Walk. There's the secondary stun. Dodges out the third one. The Blessed Shield, though, used, does pick him off. So Leoric will be down for a little bit. He's going to try and drain to get himself back up quicker. Raid Boss needs to move as they are circling around, trying to pick him off here. The Blizzard will stop Be Certified from getting near to him to get that stun. Double Shrink Ray on the side of Meet Your Makers. 1 on Uther and 1 on the Tyranitar. Mutalisk, of course, they're trying to get in here. Raid of Vengeance is beautiful on the side, from the side of Meet Your Makers, but the March of the Black King was not bad this time, doing quite a bit of damage. Rainbow's having to retreat. It's not calling the Moras, instead bursts down, and an amazing turnaround. They're able to get Karazim as well, and they will likely get Nazebo. Nazebo tapping the fountain over. The Grey Zombie Wall does allow him to escape, but that was an incredible turnaround from Meet Your Makers. That Raid of Vengeance really setting everything up for them, and able to turn that around beautifully. Those spell shields also helping out against that Leoric, March of the Black King. We do have a spell shield on the Karazim, trying to help him get protected. He's now getting focused down thanks to that huge stun trade. Ravenous Spirit coming from over the wall. Not to get kills here, it's just to zone them out, because Leoric does not have the health to keep this chase going for long. And as you can see here, no one going down, but it does chase them away. However, they still got the fort out of this. And that is not great. And while this is happening, we do see that MYM were able to split soak in the other lanes thanks to Tyranitar. The top lane has been left a little bit neglected, though. We can see True Shot Aura coming in from the Tyranitar here. The Blessed Hammer, extra damage pretty much is the name of the game. Brood Expansion, Blood for Blood, and Benediction is the name of the game from the side of MYM. Level 16, still a level and a bit away for the side of a team called Frank. They are not out of this yet, though, but they need to be careful. Muradin has been shrink rayed. The stun train lands, and Muradin will go down. They can't afford to keep giving away kills like this. Frank were looking really good in a couple of these fights, but they need 5 members in order to win these fights. Top Shrine for now will go over to a team called Frank. Bottom Shrine has a couple members here, so they can go in and try and contest this. Be Certified running through it. We'll see Nunda here. They're going to try and get the stun trade off on him. Nunda trying to block out Be Certified from escaping, thinking he was alone, but he runs into so many. The Ice Block protects him for now, but he's completely alone here. Curson will not be helping him here, and as such, that Shrine will go over to MYM. Top Shrine going over to MYM as well. Leoric is split pushing. He's doing Leoric things right now, doing a fantastic job. He's going to be back as he knows the Dragonite will go over to MYM, and he needs to go back and defend. Third Dragonite of the game, and the first one for MYM. ETF on top. Going to try and delay this. He can Dwarf Toss out to dodge away the stun here, and a very nice job it is. They're about to hit level 16, so about to be even on talents again, but with the Zebo dead, they're going to be in a bit of a pickle here. And Leoric didn't actually be the first time. He's now beat and will be prepared to help out. There's that level 16. Once again, ETF on top, dodging out that stun. Pretty nice here. Circle of Life, giving that extra healing for Karazim, and that's what makes him really a powerhouse in terms of healing here. Leaping Spiders for the Zebo. Now he is alive. He's going to be able to do harassment damage. Ravenous Spirit from behind the fort just to do damage to this Dragonite. They're going to try and chase this in quite a lot, but they're completely... MYM completely split up. The Raid of Vengeance lands on ETF on top and onto Jaina. She's able to Ice Block, but Karazim needs to heal her, needs to palm, and the palm does go off, and that will keep Raid Boss alive. The Zebo has been zoned out thanks to the Dragonite. March and the Black King comes through, but the Device Shield keeps Johanna alive. She pops her Iron Skin as well. Uther may not be so lucky, but Shrink Race keeps herself alive. The Zebo punted out again. again. T-Darker with the blind onto ETF on top to prevent the damage. In comes Leoric, and T-Darker is still alive. Where's the Drain Hope? It's the auto attack that finishes him off. They turn on to be certified, and down he goes. Dragonite finally expires. Nunda chasing this in. The stun from Crispotion slows down Muradin, but he can try and jump over the wall here to try and get this, but it doesn't look like he wants to. Blade can turn around and do some harassment damage to him. And Frank able to take another team fight. And this is what we said when they were when they are on even talents and they have all 5 members. They are able to win pretty much every team fight. They can't afford though to keep losing members before team fights like they have been so far. And as we can see, the level 16's Northern exposure from the Jada here, keeping that extra damage train going. The imposing presence from the Leoric to try and counteract that Tyrande at least a little bit. Zagara, keeping her team ahead right now with that split push in the top lane, will be able to grab a fort, but the rest of Frank were able to push in the spot lane. They will not be grabbing a keep, so the first keep of the game is still up, and we're about to see if they move to the mid lane, they might be able to grab this fort as well, but they're not willing to risk it now that Uther is back alive. It will be 5 versus 5 again, and Heroics, a couple of them will still be on cooldown. Avatar just came up. Down goes that top fort. So all 3 forts of a team called Frank are down, whereas only 2 forts from MYM are down, so Frank need to be very careful here, need to keep their protection on and get ready, just prepare, get their heroics up for another team fight, as that's what they need to do. Where is Uther? I'm just going to select him so we can see, because I have the bug, unfortunately the cooldowns aren't showing up on heroics, so I'm just going to select Uther so we can see when Divine Shields are up. And once again, another member core. It's Nunda again. No, it's not Nunda. Nunda with the Ravenous Spirit over the wall here, trying to catch someone, but he is stunned by Crispotion from range. It was in fact Muradin who got caught there. The Moor only catches Kerosene. Someone needs to stay at least near enough to him for him to dash out there, but no one stays that close because everyone pushes through. Divine Palm will keep him alive for now. He gets caught in another stun though, and that's 2 members picked off before a fight, and they can't afford to keep doing that. But they can't afford really to just not do this because they need to split soak the XP. And that is 2 members down just before MYM hit level 20, which is just before the Dragon Knight's about to spawn, and they're going to get a keep out of this, and MYM with perfect timing on those kills, going to get everything here. Down goes the first keep of the game in favour of MYM. They're going to split up and go for those shrines now, and they have their level 20s. We can see the redemption straight away picked on Uther, usually the last had to be picked before it got nerfed, so that it couldn't be activated if you take it after you died anymore. Bolt of the Storm being taken on the Zagara, the Storm Shield on Tyrande, the Bolt of the Storm on the Valor, and Johanna yet to pick. Crispotion getting burst down here by Jada, but so many stuns coming down. Ice Block only going to delay the inevitable, and he's trying to kill off Crispotion, but the Water Elemental goes down as well, and Uther getting there just in time, and this shrine will now be going over to MYM, but ETF on top will be grabbing this top one with the help of Leoric, and that will once again delay this Dragonite, and Nunda with some spiders there from over the wall was able to prevent, and a zombie wall able to prevent it from happening here. But instead MYM just going to take their advantage, their man advantage after killing Jaina, and are going to push the bottom lane instead, going to try and get their second keep of the game. And Meteor Makers and a team called Frank know if they just ditch this, then they're going to lose so much more. So what are they doing instead? They can't defend this really without Jaina, so instead Nazebo is just throwing out abilities, and Muradin is sneaking that bottom shrine. Leoric preparing to grab the Dragon Knight. Oh, don't time that wrong. There we go. Leoric will grab the Dragon Knight for this. He needs to at minimum get that fort here, but that's still 2 keeps down, and we're immediately seeing everyone from MYM going to try and make this dragon a waste of time here, immediately focusing it down. So much crowd control being dropped onto it. There's the Fire Breath, but we're seeing all the members of Frank beginning to group up. They have this Dragon Knight now, and this is probably going to be their best chance to fight. They have basically a second health pool on their Leoric here, but they need to group up. They can't afford to lose ETF on top before a fight again. Same with Jaina. Zombie Wall from Nazebo catches its own ETF there, so they're not able to do much with this. And now we're going to see Frank avoid the fight here and soak until 20. They still have 45 seconds on the Dragon Knight. If they kill this bottom minion wave, it won't give them that level 20 yet, but it's going to bring them damn close, so that when they get into the fight, first kill they get will be enough for 20 here, or they can just move close to this minion wave that just arrived and try and get it that way. They need to get it before this Dragon Knight expires, because that will be their best opportunity to fight when they're even on talents and have a Dragon Knight advantage. There is that level 20. We're immediately seeing Frank back away from this, and the Dragon Knight coming in behind. Nunda dodges out the stun, throws out a zombie bomb, but then Blair's shield comes in. Starfall catches so many. Storm Shield will protect them for now though. The Ice Block being used by Nunda to dodge out the Rain of Vengeance, the punch from the Dragon Knight, and the Ravenous Spirit from the back We're seeing a lot of people in that more. No, it's just Raid Boss, but T-Darker's in the back. Dragonite is about to expire. We're seeing Muradin having to back away from this. Another Ice Block used by Jada Protect. Damage be certified. Gets picked off in the back, but so does Jada by the owl from the Tyrant. There's so much damage coming down here. It is still a 1-for-1. Kerosene keeping his team alive. Ranch and the Black King just to buy some time right now. We're seeing them come back in. Muradin with no health. Leoric goes down, and too many healthy members. Uther came back to life thanks to his redemption, and we're seeing MYM push in here. They're gonna get ETF on top. He's not that tanky, and Curson should not have come back in to help here. He should have just let his friend die. Nunda will join him. There's the heal, trying to keep Nunda alive, and Nunda and Curson will go down, and MYM will push onto this core, and that is going to be a 1-0 for now in this best of 3 series in favour of MYM. And Frank did a lot of things very right, but they were not able to take that final fight at the end there. Maybe they'll be luckier in game number 2, which we will be going into. Well, it's edited, so you will see it any second now. Thank you for watching, and see you in a couple seconds. Alright guys, game number 2 of our best of 3 series in the round of 32, so second to last game we will have today. It is of course MYM versus a team called Frank. And quick heads up, that Lily is not in fact a Lily, it is a Sergeant Hammer. There was a draft bug. You can see here we had a Zeratul and an Abathur banned out. Jaina and Sagara were picked up, so let's minimise these out and introduce the teams. I am going to be opposing myself this time because I worked out that the draft bug comes from when I go on to the other caster's view. So, ladies and gentlemen, on the left-hand side, in the blue trunks, it is going to be a team called Frank, and playing Raider, it is going to be Nunda. Playing Sergeant Hammer, it is MTW Raid Boss. Playing Leoric, it is going to be Liejo. Playing Rhaegar, it is going to be Curson, and playing Johanna, it will be ETF on top. On the right-hand side, in the red trunks, it is going to be a team called MYM. They're currently 1-0 up in this series, and playing Falstad, once again on one of his favourite heroes, it's going to be Blade. Playing Tyrael is T-Darker. Playing Illidan, it's going to be Rememballer, Kael'thas by B Certified, and Uther, being played by Chris Explosion. I am Tetcher, and I'm going to be bringing you this series, and we already have 2 sets of seasoned marksmen. One from the Falstad, who has just arrived in the bot lane to start his stacking process, and one from the Rainer. Sergeant Hammer already working on that bottom tower, but has to back up here, and we see here a good old-fashioned build. We see a healing totem from the Rhaegar, just so you can place it behind Hammer when she sieges up and keep her alive while she gets all that siege damage off. Excuse me. We see a reach coming in from the Uther there. ETF on top, having to back up, so he takes a bit of harass from T-Darker and Chris Explosion. Nothing too much though. Advanced artillery coming in from the Sergeant Hammer, giving the extra damage. Blade being chased back by Nunda here. So both teams just stacking up their ranged assassin heroes in this bottom lane for their season marksman. But with the temple spawning, this is likely going to change. We will probably see Raid Boss get left down here to try and counter push as much as he can. And we may see Rememballer or Blade left down here to try and contest him. Probably Blade, as we can see here, due to the fact that he can fly up if he's needed. Raid Boss thinking about heading up there, but instead decides to stay down here, and he will duel with Blade as much as he can. And Mine does hit Blade, getting that movement speed slow off. Both teams, though, looking for their opportunity. Mid-temple is going to be the one contested over by the looks of it, as Leoric has pretty much full control over this top one. Nunda looking for his opportunity, does a lot of damage to Chris Explosion here. Level 4, looks like it's going to be hit just a little bit first here by the side of a team called Frank, and they're going to look for an opportunity. Nice knockback from the Guardian there, but mid-temple does go over to the control of Meet Your Makers here. But top temple, as we said before, pretty much in full control of Leoric here. He's just going to stay up here and get all of the stacks. Meantime, Hammer able to stay pretty sustained against Blade here, thanks to the wonderful thing that is regen globes. And like we said, mid lane completely abandoned. They're just going to take all the shots from top and give over most of the shots from mid over to the side of MYM. And Reyna joining Hammer in the bot lane, just allowing him to stack up that little bit more. Sergeant Hammer took Maelstrom Shells at level 4, giving her that extra range of 20%, which is very useful in and out of siege mode. We have the focus attacks from Reyna. Sergeant Hammer sieging up, which means Blade can just drop a lot of extra damage, but by doing so will reveal himself to a huge amount of damage there. and is forced to back away. But Sergeant Hammer knows second his camp is taken, there are more people here, unsieges, and backs away from here. So he did get an improvement onto her siege mode, and good positioning here, sieging up so you can see and soak the lane and still help out with this bruiser camp. But this does allow the members of MYM to know that this bruiser camp is being taken, but there's nothing they can do about it, so they do leave it over. Johanna moving around here, spots Crisplosion and Rememballer roaming up to that mid lane, and that basically gives Raid Boss completely free reign here to soak this mid lane and do pretty much anything he wants. Level 4s, we can see a Flow Rider, Immolation, fairly standard stuff from pretty much everyone, but level 7s have been hit by a team called Frank already, and Hammer choosing to unsiege and not focus down this second tower because Blade is here and they don't know where everyone else is. In the meantime, Leoric's still soaking top. But these level 7 talents, we can see a Revolution Overdrive, that movement speed buff that allows Nunda to chase in, not going for that activatable heal or the increased heal on level 1 that we see a lot of teams go for nowadays. We see the first aid on the Sergeant Hammer, the ghastly reach once again on Leoric. Rhaegar yet to pick this time, and Battle Momentum on the Johanna. Level 7's also available for MYM now. This bruiser camp just going to be taken. They're not going to wait for this bottom temple to spawn. Just going to take it straight away. Sergeant Hammer clearing at this bottom lane for now. And Blade has to stay at quite long range. Level 7's on the... Oh, Raid Boss going to be moving out here. No Eldrin's might to slow him. They're not going to try and chase him here. On the side of MYM, their level 7 secret weapon, of course, for Sergeant Hammer as he's going for that auto... Falstad, sorry, as he's going for that auto attack build. Another Battle Momentum, this time on the Tyrael for extra damage here. Falstad flying all the way up here to help defend, but that leaves the bottom temple completely exposed, and Sergeant Hammer will get at least quite a few very free shots here. Now we're going to see everyone coming down here. Falstad, with no fly available, is just going to try and make the most out of this and get some pushing done. There is the Earth Shield coming in from Rhaegar here. That will be his level 7 talents. First aid on the Illidan for that extra sustain. The Fission Bomb from the Kalthas, and Cleanse for the Uther, as there is a reasonable amount of CC. There's a potential stud on the Rainer, for example. The Darker will scout out this bush with Eldrin's Might, and Raid Boss dashing out of there. His team isn't here because they're split up soaking XP, but he's already got over half the shots. That's all he needs, so he's just going to back away from this and let at least a couple of the shots until his team gets there go over to the side of MYM. But they're doing a lot of damage to T-Darker here. Nunda, with that extra movement speed, is bursting him down so quickly, but a nice gravity lapse from B Certified. Rememballer this time will be the one chased out. Let's have a quick look at Nunda's stacks. He has 10 bonus damage, whereas Falstad is on 11, but it's not a huge difference. Both of these players, Nunda is now on 11 as well, so both these players keeping up for each other pretty nicely in terms of the stacking numbers, but Blade has been left in the lane a lot longer than Nunda has. He will slowly creep ahead if this trend continues. Rememballer with evasion though, able to dodge out most. This is a great blessed shield there. We're seeing the Illidan try to escape there. The March of the Black King does not land, and the Metamorphosis used for escape here. Crisplosion is the target. The Rainer's Raiders available for Raider. They're trying to chase Crisplosion here, but they turn it onto Blade. And we saw Leoric think about giving in for the chase there, but decides against it. Both teams hitting level 10 pretty much simultaneously, but we're going to see a bit of a push here coming in. No, it wasn't simultaneously, sorry, my mistake, I completely missed it. But we have the Rainer's Raiders coming in for a team called Frank. The Napalm Strike for that incredible extra damage. March to the Black King, Ancestral Healing, and Blessed Shield, which we saw initiate that fight. Level 10s for the side of Meet Your Makers are going to be Hinterland Blast, going for the extra damage as opposed to Frank's strategy, where we saw Hinterland Blast with an auto attack Falstad. Judgment on the side of Tyrael for that extra damage. Leoric needs to be careful. Nice knockback from Hammer, but it means he has nothing to disengage here. The Ancestral, though, keeps her alive. She turns around. Illidan has been Divine Shielded, and as such, Leoric will go down. The Phoenix doing huge amounts of damage. Leoric just getting as many slows as he can. ETF on top pulls in Illidan, is able to take it down. Tyrael also biting the dust, and Raid Boss doing huge damage in the back here. The Metamorphosis not able to save Illidan this time, and the Phoenix was brilliant though. Divine Shield able to keep him alive for a bit, and Falstad flying up to the top lane because he knows this fight's over, so he's just going to try and soak and get more stacks, which is what he needs. But it does mean this mid lane is in some serious peril, and we're going to see Frank take advantage of this. They're going to push this in as hard as they can. Nunda dodging out any additional damage. He does not want to get caught out here. He has 17 stacks now, as opposed to Blade, who is on 16. Nunda creeping ahead here thanks to those hero kills, because if those who don't know, hero kills now count for 3 minion kills as opposed to the 2 that they used to in the previous patch. Now we're going to see... I accidentally slash dance. Good job that doesn't do anything when you're a caster. But we can see They're going to start taking the boss here. I apologise, my throat is really uncomfortable, so I apologise for that pause. Level 13's available for a team called Frank, and they're looking to try and take the boss here. But a very quick reaction from MYM here, but they only have 3 people here, so immediately Frank just hold the circle, get in it. They were even willing to probably take the stun for that, but they were able to get out the way of it. Top Temple, though, is going straight over to Meet Your Makers here, and they will just keep full control of this. However, Frank can go for the bottom temple, but instead they're pushing in with the boss because they know, well, we have a boss, we might as well use it. We have Siege Giants as well, we can go for that temple later, and that's likely what they're going to do. The last shots from top aren't taken because Illidan needs to go back and defend because there's so much pressure here coming out from a team called Frank. Double barreled from Nanda here, and once he gets that stun, it's going to be pretty devastating. Living Bomb is applied, but there's no Chain Bomb yet. Chain Bomb just taken, but it still does not apply. No one is ready. T-Darker looking to try and come in behind and get a judgment onto maybe Raid Boss. Nanda taking a bit of damage, gets healed up straight away though, thanks to that healing surge. And wow, Leoric taken down so quickly here. There's the judgment. It hits Rhaegar though. The Hinterland Blast does a lot of damage to Nanda. His trait activates. He's able to turn onto Rememballer a bit, but he does not have his stun. Nice heal from Curson. Metamorphosis lands onto ETF on top though. They're trying to keep him alive. Ancestral keeps him alive. They turn onto Rememballer and take him down. Beautiful turnaround from a team called Frank. The boss is on the core now. It's about to die, but we're seeing Frank thinking about pushing in. They decide against it. Leoric already back from his death there, and now Frank can, if they want to, move on to this temple. They're just going to send Cursor down here and use the rest of the team to split up and start taking mercenaries and experience. We're seeing Leoric head up to the top lane, and he may even grab the Watchtower. This is against it, actually. He wanted to take the last few shots from this temple, but Blade is already here for that. So Leoric completely misses T-Darker. But in the meantime, the rest of Frank able to take this Siege Giant camp to put even more pressure on the bot lane, which is already a keep down. And they're going to grab the rest of the shots from this mid-temple, which is wrecking the gate in the mid lane. But they are fighting on even times, at least for the next couple seconds, as level 16 is very quickly along the way for Frank. But level 13's on the side of MYM here. We have Giant Killer on the Falstad. The Imposing Will, a very, very good choice considering the Assassins. Would have been nice to have a couple more warriors like that, but they didn't bring those in. On the Tyrael, we have Sixth Sense on the Illidan. We have the Chain Bomb on the Kael'thas, and Shrink Ray, another very good choice here from the Uther. Whereas on the side of a team called Frank, they have their level 60s. Now Bullseye, of course, going for that stun on the Reyna, getting a lot of CC for his team and a lot of single target focus here. Hammer taking graduated range here as opposed to the Hover Siege, choosing to just position herself correctly the first time as opposed to pushing in completely, and she's been doing a very good job, or Red Boss has been doing a very good job of doing this so far, so it is pretty fine for him. We have the Tidal Waves, of course, coming in from the Rhaegar, Imposing Will on the Leoric to try and counteract that Illidan, and Falstad, who's also got auto attack, very auto attack heavy, and another Imposing Will on the Johanna here. Chain Bomb is now available, and that clip does a lot of damage to the minion wave. Chris trying to sneak in here, but takes so much damage. The Raiders are on him here and will be chasing him down. Rhaegar trying to get him as well. He has to pop Divine Shield, and the Banshees chased him here, and they are going to do so. If they find him, then it's going to be game over for Chris Motion. Be Certified also dropping quite low. Chris Motion heals himself from the fountain. The Banshees were not chasing in time, and as such, Chris Motion and Be Certified will get out of here. No deaths yet in this fight, but Sergeant Hammer, with graduating range, is about to become in range of this keep, and it's going to start wailing on it and doing all that damage. The rest of the team try to protect her, but heroics are available here. Judgment and Hinterland Blast for that good old, if you're from NA, the crispy taco as they call it for some reason. They want to try and get any kind of focus here, but Leoric is currently the only one within vision range, but Cursor needs to be careful here. Leoric is going to be focused out. There's that Wraithwalk. He has Hard and Bone, so he is able to get out with this, but Illidan chases him down. ETF on top gets a nice blind off. Margin, the Black King comes through and keeps him alive. A good amount of health regen comes from that. The Phoenix, great focus onto Nanda, and with T-Dog coming in, but the Ancestral keeps him alive. He turns on Tyrael and gets him. Leoric finally goes down, but Rememballer is also dropping low. ETF on top was trying to get him, but instead he gets turned around onto, thanks to that gravity lapse. The Chain Bomb spreads to Raid Boss here, but Rememballer is completely separated from his team. If Nanda finds him, he is going to die. Rememballer is just distracting at the moment though, but we're seeing Leoric do a similar thing here, just keeping vision. Rememballer will almost definitely die unless he can pull something pretty amazing here. Down he goes to the Napalm. Nanda is going to be grabbing control of that middle lane temple. Leoric just keeping vision of this top lane and will just clear this wave out to get extra XP. Bottom temple though, Crystplosion just grabbing a couple shots from this while he has a chance. Level 16's available for the side of MYM now as well. And ETF asking if the enemy could hear him. I'm assuming that was to his team, but okay, their team speaks down, so we're going to have a quick pause. That gives me time to talk about the level 16s from the side of Meet Your Makers. Hammer time from the Falstad here, the Holy Ground from Tyrrell. So we have a lot of area control, some CC and some zoning here, creating a little bit of terrain or a no entry area basically. So they can try and control this fight a little bit better. Maybe they can stop Hammer from escaping. Oops. Stone Skin from the Illidan here. Lot of extra tankiness here. He's going to need it against all these high damage dealers. Arcane Barrier from the Kael'thas here, which is pretty standard, especially with this Mana Addict. Those two combo very well together. We can actually have a quick look at Kael'thas and see what kind of mana he is on. So he's on 965 maximum mana, and this gives you 200% of that as a maximum shield. That is pretty effective. That is a 1,930? No, 1,930. I think I'm right. Math is hard. Never do math on stream, guys. And we have Benediction from the Uther, the pretty standard talent out of everyone who plays him. So, let's have a quick look around the map. Mid-temple. Leoric's cape is still animated in the pause. But they have control of this mid lane. And Frank looking so strong in this match. Compared to the first game, Frank were a little wobbly. But this time, they are in full control against Meet Your Makers. And they're doing a fantastic job. And this game could be going to a game number 3 if they can keep this up for the rest of the game and not pull a Cloud9 versus Tempo Storm. And, do a bit of, well, basically, I say that's a spoiler, but that happens literally every time they play. So spoiler for every single Cloud9 Tempo Storm game ever. So, sorry about that. And looks like they are just about ready. So we're going to be heading back in here. ETF on top has retaken control of this bottom temple here. And we're just waiting for the ready up from MYM. There it is. They're heading back into the game. The temple, like we said, being held here. ETF on top, dodging out the way, trying to bait Crystplosion into range of Sergeant Hammer, doing so much damage. Hammer, being cautious, going to come in behind Be Certified and try and focus him down here. There is the Gravity Lance trying to counteract this, and in comes Tyrrell with a nice Holy Ground here, zoning Hammer, and Hammer's taking a lot of damage, trying to escape, but the Ancestral Healing keeps her alive. Beautiful shot there. Somehow the Napalm didn't hit, but Crystplosion will still be prevented from being out here and is taken down by a combination of Johanna and the Sergeant Hammer mines. Holy Ground will prevent this pursuit a little bit, but with Leoric chasing down here, this extra source, T-Darker just got a judgment here, trying to give himself a way out, but he still goes down as he's going to try and explode onto as many people as possible. Does get Raid Boss. Johanna continuing this chase. The Arcane Barrier has been used by Be Certified, but they're not going to get anything out of this. But Frank, on the other hand, will. They got 2 kills, and they're going to get the boss for this without too much trouble. Raid Boss, once again, great positioning here. Able to just take this boss from over the wall and keep himself very safe. Top Temple went completely over to a team called Frank, and as such, all buildings are down for Meet Your Makers, whereas 2 forts are still alive for a team called Frank, and they're just going to finally grab the last excuse me, of these shots in the bot lane, and they have a boss and a siege giant camp, so they're just going to try and push in for the win here. Not even going to take the last few shots there, as they're going to try and make the most of this, because if they can get the shield or at least some damage on the core, they can go straight back to that temple and try and grab the last of those shots to try and end the game. In comes the boss. Siege giants are quite close behind, and MYM need to kill off as many members here before this even happens. A bolt of the storm from Nunda, able to keep himself alive here. He turns immediately onto Illidan. He pops evasion to keep himself alive. He has a shield as well. T-Darker is going down, marching the Black King, and the Blessed Shield able to lock down the Kael'thas. He gets knocked up by the boss. He has Arcane Barrier up to try and keep himself alive. ETF on top has Indestructible. He saves himself as well. 2 members down for MYM, and that is GG. A team called Frank takes game number 2, and that will even up the score 1-1. We're going to be heading into game number 3, guys, right after, well, for you guys now. Alright guys, game number 3 is going to be on the Battlefield of Eternity, and we have another Sergeant Hammer pick. That's pretty awesome. Both the main melee assassins have been banned out, the Zeratul and the Illidan, and we got 2 of those longer range harassers in the form of Kael'thas and that Nazeebo. When I say harassers, those 2 pretty much always top the hero damage charts, but we can see, once again, a team called Frank getting their hands on that Leoric. They've had it every single game so far, whereas Meet Your Makers getting the Valor, so that's going to be pretty cool for Blade here. Just going to be getting a lot of damage out this time. So yeah, they go. Once again, though, they're running the... Oh, no, they are running Double Warrior this time, so that is pretty interesting. And they have that Anubarak for that Cocoon against the Uther, so to prevent Divine Shield from keeping Sergeant Hammer alive. So, excuse me, let's get rid of this and introduce the 2 teams. Ladies and gentlemen, on the left-hand side, it is going to be Meet Your Makers. And playing the Jada, it is going to be Blade. I thought he would be playing the Valor, but the Valor is being played by B Certified, and Nubarak being played by T Darker, Johanna being played by Rememballer, Malfurion being played by Crisplosion, and that is Team Meet Your Makers. Whereas on the right hand side in the red trunks, it is going to be a team called Frank, and Sergeant Hammer is being played by Raidboss. The Leoric's being played by Liejo, who I asked him how to pronounce his name, and he said how you spell it. He's an arse. Muradin being played by ETF on top, Zagara being played by Nunda, and Uther being played by Curson. I am Tetcher. I am bringing you this 3rd game, and already we have Meet Your Makers all grouped up here, looking to try and find out where Hammer is. Hammer is already positioned in the top lane, and the creep from Zagara already given vision, but Zagara getting pulled into the root of Malfurion and taking so much damage early on. Blade and Malfurion able to take her down straight away, and that is first blood going over to Meet Your Makers within 1 minute of the game starting, able to pick up Zagara after a great route there from Malfurion. Having a look at the level 1 talents, we can have a look into this, and we can see that there is a Moonburn on the side of Malfurion for that extra minion clear, which is going to help out massively. Advanced Artillery once again on the Sergeant Hammer. Raid Boss sieging up. Just going to get that extra damage to try and zone out a couple of members here. Blade looking to try and land a Blizzard on him, but instead gets a Cone of Cold into Curse, and Raid Boss needs to unsiege here, and he does, to dodge out the way of that route. Nunda is now back, placing down some creep, giving his team some vision. In the meantime, bot lane being held by the Warriors. We're going to see Leoric and T Darker here just hold this up. Neither one are going to gain a huge bunch over the other, but Leoric should in theory be able to win this lane thanks to his Drain Hope ability, but right now just being completely outplayed by T Darker, already dropping super low. T Darker dropping his shield a little bit late there, but AJ will still get his regen globe for his reanimation here. For now, we're going to see the team of a team called Frank, that's a hard sentence to say, are going to try and group up here. Leoric's still not coming up, but looks like they want to try and defend first. No, actually, they're going to head straight down and try and burst down the enemy immortal first, despite the fact there's a huge head start here for the side of Meet Your Makers. And even with Sergeant Hammer, they're not going to get that much due to the fact that this siege mode only does extra damage to a couple members here, and we can see 30% and more damage to distant increased damage to long distance enemies by 10%. No, just 30% damage to distant enemies as the basic stuff here, and they're going to try and burst it down. This time they have everyone, and now they're killing it a lot quicker. This is much more efficient. It's actually going to be very close to who does it. Remember, all getting the blind to try and slow this down, but Sergeant Hammer gets through, and she was the majority of the damage, but it looks like Frank is still going to get it just first. And that was a very close demon fight there, and they will be able to pick up the globes as well, which is going to help out Uther as he has taken that Conjurer's Pursuit, and they're just able to get that, but that is a tiny, tiny shield on that Immortal. They're not going to get too much out of this as it is going to get killed off quite quickly, but they are actually leaving Leoric up there so he can of course push with this, or at least soak the XP, while everyone else down in that bot lane going to be bullying Anubarak. Sergeant Hammer wrecking these towers, and there is nothing alone Anubarak can do about this. He does have Be Certified with him now to try and do some counter damage, and it's going to force Muradin to back up a little here, but with Curson here, they should at minimum be able to get both towers, and they do. The Immortal already dead, didn't even get a tower, just killed the gate up here, but with Leoric here, nice little B step there, getting a bit of BM in, but not even able to get the tower, but Leoric was still able to soak all the XP, so Frank not actually coming out ahead here, despite the fact that they were able to do that, but even with 2 towers, they're not able to gain a significant advantage out of this. And I'm curious as to why. We will have to have a look here. They're still fairly even. And now ETF on top, taking a lot of damage. Raidball's just taking both those blizzards just so we can get his maximum damage off. But the positioning of the hammer will force them out of this capture point. And as such, the Impalers will go over to the side of a team called Frank. And that is very good for them. Having a look at some of the talents, we can see Valor has gone for that full auto attack build with the Rancor on her level 1. And the Manticore on level 4, as opposed to the Vamp Assault that we saw from a Valor earlier on today. On the side of a team called Frank, we can see Thunderburn on the Muradin. He's going for that anti-auto attack here to try and deal with this Valor. A little bit of damage going over the ETF on top. And the Envenom Spine. Standard stuff from pretty much everyone here. Once again, we see Maelstrom Shells from Raidballs giving him that extra range, making it easier for him to get his passive off pretty nicely. Level 7 hit just that smidgen first for Meet Your Makers. They are still ever slowly keeping ahead, but it's only by a little bit because talents are still even. Level 7's hit for both teams now. We see Ghastly Reach once again from the Leoric, the Rapid Incubation from Valor, Battle Momentum from the Muradin, so we can get continuous slows on that Valor. And the First Aid coming in from the Sergeant Hammer, whereas on the left-hand side, Meet Your Makers, who are circling around here, going to try and pick off Sergeant Hammer, but Sergeant Hammer has her boost up, able to easily disengage here. But we see Frostbitten, of course, the bread of barbs? The bed of barbs from the Nubarak. Make sure that he can interrupt and just harass as much as possible. The Searing attacks, careful Leoric, they're closing in. He has to Wraithwalk and he should get out of this thanks to his hardened bones. Searing attacks, of course, for extra damage on the Valor. The Battle Momentum for the Johanna. Nubarak coming in here, trying to get Curson. Curson does have cleanse, but you can't cleanse yourself anymore. He could have cleansed ETF on top there, but ETF on top seeming to be quite comfortable. And we can see Meet Your Makers on the defensive here. And by the way, Malfurion went for Rampant Growth and Enduring Growth, no cleanse for him. And Leoric once again getting focused. He may need to Wraithwalk here, and he does. Wraithwalks out, almost lands in those roaches and gets pulled in by the Condemn. And Remember tries to finish him off, but the heal from Curson keeps him alive. ETF on top, having to back up as now Meet Your Makers with the health advantage will move on to the Immortal. And Sergeant Hammer not coming up to help yet. She's finally thinking about making her way up there. As we can see, the rest of a team called Frank moving in here. Sergeant Hammer is actually going to come up. They're going to try and get T-Darker here. He uses his Burrow Charge to try and escape here. And we can see Frank moving in. Hammer sieging up. Just in range of the Immortal, but very hard to engage here. T-Darker looking to maybe come around from in here with his Burrow Charge to try and get someone. But now is just harassing what his team did Fountain if they needed to. But a Nubarak goes down and, well, Leoric was basically delivered onto Crispotion there and is going to continue to harass. He's going to Wraithwalk, still takes the stun damage and runs straight into Johanna and Blade there. Takes a lot of damage, gets the protective shield from the Uther to protect himself. Raidballs turns out to be certified, but Be Certified doing a lot of damage here. But Raidballs gets a good few shots off as Valor has to retreat here. And once again, looks like Frank gaining a bit of an advantage here. This Sergeant Hammer by Raidballs is being very effective for them. They've actually, for the first time, hit a level first, but it's only level 9. Still no heroics available. Yeah, Sergeant Hammer, once again, a great siege up position here. There's a good chance to try and circle around and get her from this bush here, but ETF on top is guarding that with his life to try and protect this. They instead come from above, but Hammer de-sieges here and pushes T-Darker away from his team, and it gives them chance to escape. And as such, MYM will be able to protect their Immortal for at least a little bit, while the rest of a team called Frank do heal up. Curson not even healing up, he's going to heal himself here, but he has to back up, taking a lot of damage here, takes the Blizzard. He needs to try and do something to protect himself, gets pulled in by the Condemn, and gets picked off here. Hammer trying to finish this off this Immortal while this is going on, but instead has to retreat out. Leoric arriving just in time to be late, but does a significant amount with his Skeletal Swing, but takes a couple auto attacks from Be Certified. That's a lot of extra damage. And right now we can just see a team called Frank just looking for an opportunity to try and sneak in. Those Banelings not in range to do damage. There's the Hunter Killer. Once again, it's not going to be enough. Hammer getting knocked up. They're trying to engage onto him, but that boost and the First Aid is already up again, and he's able to get out of there. ETF on top tries to stun, but instead hits a Locust. And it's not, sorry, it hits a Beetle and is not able to get anything out of this. While this is going on, the top Immortal is being focused down by Blade. He's trying to rush this down, but instead Frank rushed into this bottom Immortal, and they will once again win this barely with just the tiniest amounts of shield to spare for their actual Immortal. Leoric chasing very deep here. He's trying to body block out T-Darker, but T-Darker able to sneak past. There's the Cocoon immediately used on to, I'm not sure who it is. It's going to be the Muradin. And once again, Frank sneaking out ahead. Heroics available as we saw the Cocoon use their Napalm for Sergeant Hammer. March of the Black King for Leoric. Avatar for Muradin, devouring more on Sagara, and the Divine Shield for the Uther. Whereas on the side of Meteor Makers, we have Summon Water Elemental on the Jaina. Cocoon, which we already saw being used on the Anubarak. Rain of Vengeance on the Valor. Blessed Shield on Johanna, and the Tranquility on Malfurium. A lot of lockdown potential from the side of Meteor Makers, so need to be careful. The Immortal, once again, already dead, but it was able to get towers this time. And a reaction to this, we're going to see from Meteor Makers to try and grab this Mercenary camp, whereas a team called Frank are doing the exact same thing in that bottom lane. Leoric, choosing to just be a nuisance right now, runs into two members, both of the warriors here. He does have his Wraithwalk, just draining back some health with that Drain Hope. There's the Wraithwalk. And with those Hardened Bones, he's able to get out, but he is quite low here. Hammer needs to move. She is going to boost out of there. The Cocoon already used onto Uther, though. Hammer going to use Napalm to try and get him out here. The Rain of Vengeance is huge. Hits Nanda, and ETF on top, but Uther is now out, and he is ready to turn it around. He stuns out T-Darker. Sergeant Hammer doing so much damage, but she needs to move. There's a Divine Shield to prevent the root of the knockup from going down. He's certified, dropping low, and we're seeing ETF on top, chasing so deep here, doing so much damage. Yorick will be back any second now, and his Heroic is not available. It's already been used. No, it just came up, and there he goes. He does not get Crisp Motion. Very nearly catches him on the edge of that. He's chasing in. He wants it, being very greedy here of Frank, but they're not able to get anyone, and that was a very intense fight where we saw every single Heroic used and no kills. Wow, it's a hell of a fight. And yeah, I looked at the wrong side for Leoric's Heroic there, but yeah, that was every Heroic used and not a single kill happening except for Leoric, who came back by the end of the fight. I completely forgot about that one. So, I apologise for that, and we're going to see the wonderful play here from Frank as they grab their mercenaries. The exact same wonderful play happening from Meteor Makers, and these teams just matching each other blow for blow right now. The experience is still pretty much equal. ETF on top looking for anyone to snipe here, and a slight XP bar lead here for a team called Frank, and the objective's coming up in 8 seconds again. And so far, Frank has won both of them barely and got pretty much nothing out of them. They've got some towers, but they were able to get the bot forward just by counter-pushing while the enemy was distracted with the Immortal. And Meteor Makers looking for an opportunity. Both teams will probably hit level 13 before this finishes, but Meteor Makers have to defend. Sergeant Hammer will allow a team called Frank to push down this Immortal far, far quicker. We can see it. They're rushing down very closely, but Frank, actually, that's almost identical. This is going to be very interesting. One team has to break here, and we're actually going to see Meteor Makers move up to this top lane to grab a tower, and then they will come back down to fight these Immortals. There is the Angel Immortal. Frank focusing this down, but Meteor Makers coming in for the defense here. They want to try and grab someone out of position. Zagara is going to be the target, but there's no one to follow it up. Leoric getting a heal. Nanda getting another heal. Curson very much on point with this. The Napalm not hitting the Immortal here. The Balings try to come in. They do hit the Immortal, and they're just whittling it down little bit by little bit with Napalms, Banelings, and Underkillers. But the stun lands onto Nanda. He takes a lot of damage, but the Divine Shield keeps him alive. The more only hits Valor. Leoric is ready in the back here. He has March of the Black King available. If he can line him up, he goes in, gets so much damage to be certified, but the Rain of Vengeance did hit ETF on top here. T-Darker having to back up, gets a Napalm straight to the face, taking a lot of damage. He has to back up, and Frank once again able to get out of this with no kills and a slight health lead, so they're going to be able to take down this Immortal. And we immediately see Meteor Makers moving back towards the Demon Immortal here, just so they can do damage to it and lower the shield on the Immortal for a team called Frank. And Frank in control of this game, but so close. The levels are so close. Once again, XP is still almost completely equal. Both teams just farming up as much as they can. I need a drink. I had a drink. I spilt it on my bloody mouse mat. I'll deal with it in a second because there's casting to do. This time, for the first time, we're going to see a team called Frank pushing in with their Immortal here, trying to get as much out of this as they can. The Immortal does actually have a kind decent shield, and there's no fort in the bot lane for them to get anymore, so they have nothing else to do other than get this top fort, and down it goes. The Immortal shield is gone. It still has a full health pool though, so can get a decent amount of damage out of that. Having a look at level 13s, we have the Icy Veins coming in from the Jaina for that extra cooldown. A lot of extra burst damage potential is there for that. Burning Rage for the Anubarak for that extra damage. Same with Johanna, and the Giant Killer. A very good choice here to try and finally put down that Anubarak or that Muradin from the Valor, and Ice Block for Malfurion. There's the Blessed Shield, catching quite a few members. They're trying to pick up Muradin. He doesn't even have a chance to Dwarf Toss here, taking so much damage. He has a Divine Shield on him, but he needs to leave. He gets taken out by a Rain of Vengeance. The March of the Black King goes through, but the Maw denies a little bit of that damage. But Leoric's still circling around. He gets killed off before he can get his skeletal swing off, but we're still going to see Jaina go down. A nice knockup from Anub'arak, though, picks off Sergeant Hammer. And finally, Meet Your Makers are winning a fight. We're taking down Cursed here, and Nanda is in full retreat. He's the only one alive, throws down his beetles to try and demount anyone following him, but T-Darker is instead just demounted by a rope shot, and Nanda will escape here. T-Darker was chasing very greedily here, but Nanda is mounted up, and he showed himself here. T-Darker is going to try and go in on him here. Nope, he chooses to back up away from it. And here comes Leoric. They may try and turn this. There's the slow. There's the Drain Hope. Top fort is now down, and Meet Your Makers for the first time in a lead. They were able to keep even despite losing pretty much every objective in terms of those Immortals. And now that they've won a team fight, they have that level advantage. They have level 16, the Numbing Blast, coming in for that route. Anub'arak yet to pick Blood for Blood on the Valor. There is the imposing presence on Johanna and the Anub'arak here. Very solid choices against that Sergeant Hammer. And we have the Tenacious Roots on the Malfurion. We still have a little bit of an XP bar to go before Frank hit their level 16, and they were looking really good, but they lost it in that one team fight. They pushed too greedily and too deeply, and they were not able to make the most of it. That Maw was very good, but Leoric died before he could get a skeletal swing off and allow follow-up damage, and he used his March of the Black King just as the Maw went down, so a bit of that damage was denied. Level 16 hit by a team called Frank now. We see the graduating range once again from Hammer. Leoric yet to pick. We have Stone Skin on the Muradin, the Brood expansion to combine with that Mutualist talent on Zagara, and Benediction on the Uther. Leoric needs to pick before he engages here. And they're looking for an opportunity. Graduating range. He's gaining as much as he can. Hammer gaining as much as she can here. She's going to shuffle forward. Once again, that graduating range will put the Immortal in range for attacking here. MYM going so defensively here, choosing not to try and attack the Immortal of a team called Frank. And Muradin taking a lot of damage. Hammer is the target here. No Divine Shield. The Maw only hits Anub'arak here. And we're seeing Muradin getting taken down here. Leoric's in the back. There's the March of the Black King, but he's still going to be focused down. Remember, is just zoning out the rest of Frank here, and Meet Your Makers looking dominant in these last couple fights. They're trying to chase down Muradin here. There's the stun to try and allow ETF on top a chance to escape. He gets stunned up, but he drops down a nice thunderclap there, which gives him a chance to get out of this. But Be Certified has moved down to the bot lane and or the bot jungle area, and is grabbing this Immortal. And Meet Your Makers able to turn this on its head so quickly, but we're seeing a revenge mission coming out from Frank. Hammer is still dead, but they're trying to at least get something out of this. Remember, popping Iron Skin to try and avoid the damage as the Crushing Hope talent was taken. Uther getting rooted here. They're trying to get Blade or someone. T-Darker will do if they can finish him. He gets stunned up. He doesn't have Burrow Charge. He has no mana either as he has to pop a shield. He knows he's dead, so he's just buying time. Valor able to half health the Immortal of a team called Frank while all this is happening. Sorry. And we're now going to see a team named Frank move in here and trying to deal with the Immortal. They're going to try and rush it down, but with a huge advantage. Meet Your Makers focusing down the top Immortal. They're going to get his ETF on top, going to try and let his Nanda on the way as well. They're going to try and do this while Sergeant Hammer takes down the top Immortal. They're just trying to buy time right now, and Leoric has zoned them out. Hammer giving up on that bottom Immortal instead comes to help. She will now head down to that bottom Immortal and start working on it as much damage as she can while the rest of the team defends the Immortal of a team named Frank. That bush, they need vision of that area, and ETF on top could be the one to provide it, but they're just hovering around this. The Moonfire will get this eventually. The Tenacious Roots does come down, and that Immortal is so low. Rain of Vengeance to try and finish it off here. Divine Shield is used on the Muradin here. The Maw catches Malfurion. There goes Leoric, trapped by the Maw here. Hammer has come up to help with the fight. So much damage coming down. ETF on top is getting bursted. Anub'arak once again goes on to Raid Boss, but down goes Malfurion here. But we've already seen both the warriors go down. There's a Web Blast onto Nanda here, on Zagara. He gets pulled in and he gets focused down. And Raid Boss is too low to help out anymore. And once again, MYM, able to win another fight. And they put themselves in control. They now have a Immortal. This one does have an okay shield. It's not great, but it's enough to tank a little bit of damage, seeing as only Sergeant Hammer alive from the damage dealers. Zagara still dead. Sergeant Hammer is also very easy to engage upon with that Anub'arak, as they've been doing they've been doing pretty much every time now. And thanks to those imposing presences, Sergeant Hammer can't focus down the person who engages on her, and that is proving to be a bit of an issue for her. She's trying to focus down the Immortal right now to save that keep. ETF on top is back as well. And Leoric able to tap the fountain before it does go down. They're able to chase away the last couple members of MYM here, but ETF on top taking a lot of damage. There's the protective shield, which will keep him alive. The keep goes down. That is the first keep of the game going over to MYM. They're looking very solid right now. They still have both their keeps up. This one is only on half health though, and the bottom one is still protected by towers, but it's only going to take one fight going wrong. If they lose too many members once we get past the 20-minute mark and we get some decent spawn timers going, then it can go very wrong very quickly for MYM. They can't afford to be reckless here. If they get picked off, then this is still absolutely possible for Frank to take the game. ETF on top on his own here when level 20 is available. There's the Blessed Shield and the root used to try and lock him down. There's the root from Jaina, and so much damage going on to ETF. He pops Avatar to at least buy some time, but he is taken out, and that is catastrophic for Frank. Thank God though that the objective hasn't spawned, at least thank God for them. They in fact B-backs, they think that, well, MYM would have just charged in to end the game there since they had those impalers, or at least a couple impalers left, but they decided against it. Instead, they're going for another pick-off here. They're going to defend their bot lane and try and catch Leoric, and it won't be too hard for them. Wraithwalk is used, but we're going to see Leoric get taken down here. Another great positioning pick-off there from Meet Your Makers, and that means Leoric will be down for quite a while now before the objective does spawn. He's draining as much hope as he can to try, or draining essence as it is called when he is dead, to try and get himself alive quicker so that he can join in with this fight. Because right now Muradin is only just about to come back and the objective spawns in 5 seconds, so he needs to rejoin up with his team. And Frank are lucky that their Immortal is nearer to them, so they can go on the defensive here, which is a little easier than just rushing in. Leoric is now back as well, but they're not defending. They have everyone alive now, they're just clearing the bottom wave. Now the demons and the angel are going to swap places, but Meet Your Maker's going in very greedy. The Blessed Shield catches free. Rain of Vengeance catches one, and down goes Muradin straight away. Sergeant Hammer trying to do damage. He does destroy the cocoon and freeze Uther here, but Uther is now getting focused down. He's completely separated from his team. He gets taken out, and Meet Your Makers getting 2 kills here. They're going to try and move in for the end of the game here, and even if they can't, they can move back and take that Immortal and come in with it again. They're going to try and focus this down. Leoric looking to try and do anything he can to try and save this Raid Boss, having to reposition to dodge out of the way of a Nubarak here, but Nanda getting focused down, takes a Blizzard, he dies. T Darker is tanking up Leoric here. There's the March of the Black King, but they just separate out, and this looks like it is going to be game. Super well played by Meet Your Makers. They will move on to the round of 16. Blade does die, but so does Leoric. Be Certified getting zoned out by Hammer pretty strongly here, but with so many members alive and Malfurion alive to keep them all healed up, that is GG. And Meet Your Makers will move on to the round of 16. They are 1 game away from moving on to that round of 8 and having their chance to qualify for the Road to BlizzCon European Finals that will be taking place in Prague. So I'm Tetcher. Next game you will see on my channel tomorrow will be a Fnatic game, and we will see very soon.